That was My Romance. So this is Barry Galbraith's arrangement, but I changed a few things after my own taste. I haven't done a chord melody lesson in a while, and I thought this is a good tune to work on because I was working on this tune. There are these books by Barry Galbraith, chord melody books. I think there's 2 of them. I can't find them, but I have PDFs of them, but I can't find the actual physical copies. I don't think they're in print anymore. And you've seen me probably, if you follow my channel, you've seen me play a few of these arrangements. But this one, I was working on this, and there are a few things here that are good to kind of talk about when you're, ideas for chord melody. So hopefully you will learn something from this. I learned something from this, but first let's just go through section by section. I'll break it down and I'll talk about the things that I learned from this. And yeah, let's get right into it, shall we? All right, so it starts with a dominant, like 13 chord. When you see an arrangement like this, right, you don't have to play it exactly as it's written. I just wrote the chord. So should you strum it or pluck it, you have to use every finger if you want to pluck this. But you don't have to do that. You can just play the melody note first and then add the chord. Imagine that you're playing the melody and then hanging the chord or below it. The most important thing is that the melody comes out in like a coherent My Romance. But then he actually doesn't play the melody. He uses this technique. Right? So it's like breaking the chords, but you still hear the melody if you've heard the tune. You know what I mean? There is the melody. So you want those chords to be kind of fluent. This last chord I changed. I like this add 9. Or it's not an add 9, it's a 9. And I removed some notes. You don't need to play big chords. I'm not criticizing Barry Galbraith's arrangement. I'm just changing a little bit after my own taste. And I saw this interview with Brad Meldau on Rick Beato where he says, what are the least amount of notes that you can play to create the sound, right? So you don't have to play every note of the chord. And also notice the contrary motion. These notes go down, the top note goes up. Here I changed a little bit too. It could be this or the D on the bottom. This is an interesting move. The bass note goes up. So it's like this. That kind of thing, but the bass goes up. Right? So it's like a B flat augmented dominant chord of some kind. This voicing is also my own idea. Notice the fingering here. A minor, B7, flat 5, Hendrix. Here I let the index finger go down and the pinky also goes down to the F. And these 2 fingers, the 3rd and the 4th finger, goes up to the 10th fret. So you want to practice those chords in consecutively. That's kind of how classical guitar players practice. They want to find the smoothest fingering, the smoothest voice leading. There, between the B and the E, I have to change every finger. top note is the A, but it's not the top note that I'm playing, you know what I mean? So that's a little bit... Still want that note to ring the most. F minor 9, B flat, and then there's just this. So the top note is E, and these go down. So kind of cool sound. On the electric guitar, I would probably play that with my thumb. But this Godin has a wider neck, like a classical guitar, so I do it like this. F sharp dominant, flat 5, so sub 5 to F. F sharp split. I also added this chord here, the 13 flat 9. I like the 13 there. But this is Barry Galbraith's. I just love that. It doesn't make any sense really, it just sounds great. I would never have come up with that myself. You also want to price that so it sounds like a like a kind of a motion. F minor, B flat 13, same fingers. Here I also changed it a little bit. We have some contrary motion here too, I think. Yeah. So it's like a that kind of thing. Stairway to Heaven. And the melody goes. Also, if you want to be super sophisticated, if you play this melody with the open E and the F, you get this. But it's a little bit tricky, but you can do it. Doesn't really work there. There it works. So when you're using the technique of kind of hanging the chord below the notes, you need to know chords, a lot of voicings. You can choose whatever voicing you want to use. But you have to land on the finger that in that voicing, you know what I mean? So if I want to play this voicing, for example, I have to use barring, which is not the best, so I would probably not use that chord. I would use. If I play the 6/9, it's the pinky plays the melody top note. So you have to get into the habit of always playing the melody note with the finger in the voicing you want to use. Now, this is not necessarily the most sophisticated way of playing chord melody. There's a higher level where you're aware of every voice as if you were like a choir with every voice has its own kind of story, but you can't do that all the time. Now here comes the fancy chord of the day. So it's just a reharm, right? He plays a D flat major 7 of some kind, so it's I guess it's an E flat triad over A flat. So like an A flat major 9 chord over D flat, which creates this Lydian, because the top note is now Lydian, the Lydian note, and resolving it to a 6/9. So you could play the third there, but you don't have to. It could be a third less voicing. Now I'm using the open string. So here I have to use the barring, right? Like the melody note is the barring. So you really want to get the most out of that chord, so maybe stay on it for a while, because it's kind of... And I'm arpeggiating it, even though it doesn't say that in the notation. The notation is just kind of a sketch you want to do. You're playing on your own, you're playing by yourself, right? So you can stretch the time as much as you want, as long as you don't lose the listener. The important thing is, again, the melody. My romance needs to come out, right? Then we do kind of a similar thing as we did before, with a slight variation. And then an A flat. So the sub 5, it's related to. So you're changing the melody as also to fit those sub 5 harmonies, which is really brilliant. These you want to play like harp harmonics, not harmonics, but harp, kind of let the notes ring into each other. It's a little bit tricky to keep the G sharp. You could use different fingers, I guess. So you wanted to connect it with the next bar as well. You could play it here too, but I prefer to play it here. That's really cool. So D minor 9, sub 5. So this is kind of a funny chord. I guess it's some kind of C dominant flat 5 voicing from diminished harmony. And then regular guitar chords. So some of the modern players and the New York kind of players, they shy away from these kind of voicings. I've even heard them say, some of them, that they don't like this because it sounds like R&B, right? Nothing wrong with R&B, but they don't want to sound like that. And also it's like a school textbook voicing. And they want to play something that doesn't sound like that. I think, to be honest, not to diminish those players, they are way more better than I will ever be, but I disagree with that. I think the guitar, sometimes we want these kind of typical guitar sounding, so I don't mind it. Here, Barry Galbraith does this. So it's like a bar on the 7th fret and then the E. I don't like that chord either, so I did something else. I do this. So it's a little bit... Imagine you have this chord, like an E minor 7 or E minor 11. But move it to the 7th fret. C sharp, D, A, E. I can't really... I guess I could grab the bottom note, but I do this. I play a harmonic. And then... So if I put that together... And this E9 voicing... They often use this in gypsy jazz. This is kind of the peak of the tune. Oh, it's in what is it? Oh yeah. You could play harmonics there if you want to be fancy. Love that, the D flat over G. Could do that too. That's not really the melody, so he's changed the melody there too. But it... So you don't want to get lost in these tricky chords, but you still want to get the melody out. Play the E first. So that was my arrangement of Barry Galbraith's arrangement of My Romance. If you want PDFs, you can join me on Patreon. And to all my patrons, a huge thank you, and I hope you enjoy this arrangement and have fun. And I want to thank you for your time and attention, and I shall see you next time.